All right, you big, beautiful humans, let's chat some footy. In here we are for the People's Squad, and we actually decided to not make any trades this week. So we had Tyrell as someone that we were looking to move on, and unfortunately we didn't come to an agreement on someone to pick up. The overall consensus was getting TPJ, but unfortunately he's about 30k too expensive for that one trade. And with us sitting with 23 trades, we've decided to hold steady. There's a few guys like Barnett, Clemmer, Fisher Harris, these types of guys, but the majority have said to not trade at all. And it does leave us a little bit short this week. Obviously, if we made that trade to a Barnett or something, we ensure that our interchange is a lot stronger. But it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 24 hours or so. I might end up having to make that decision. If I think if Welch ends up on the bench or he gets dropped or something like that, then I think it would probably be silly not to make that trade, and because we'd be missing out on, you'd say, at least probably 30 points if we play Tyrell. I'm expecting him to hit somewhere in around the 20s mark. So if that's the case, then I think we might have to pull that trigger. But that's the thoughts there, Ramon. It's a little bit annoying that we have 292k and can't make that trade, but are deciding not to make that trade. But someone interesting in this price point is Madison. If we can get him to drop his price a fair bit again after if he gets a normal score in the 40s or 50 mark, then he could be someone that we target in that next week or so. So very interesting there. And even someone like Leilua, if he can pick up a 40 or something like that, then he might be able to drop enough in price to pick up. But we'll work that out as of next week. But yeah, that's where we're at the moment. 292k, that's the annoying part. But yeah, not too much you can do. And we'll move into last night's game, and capped off with an amazing 6 tries from Addo Carr. 6 tries, and he still didn't get 100. I saw a lot of people saying, but yeah, a lot of his tries were just pure speed and being there to put the ball down or finishing off the try there, and only picking up 1 tackle break when you get 6 tries is pretty incredible in itself. So amazing work to him, breaking the record or gaining the record that has been sitting there for like 71 years. So awesome work for Addo Carr. And Jerome Hughes again with another incredible score with 78. So he's been amazing the last 4 weeks, and it shows you how low his average was before those 4. And if you're someone that traded him out after that first 4 rounds, then you're absolutely spewing, because since then I think he's averaged somewhere in the mid 70s. So well done to Jerome and any of his owners, and he keeps doing it now. 360 kick meters, 125 run meters himself, and there's 30 in itself there, and he's in all the attacking stats as well. For a team that's absolutely dominating, obviously with a 50-0 beat of the Bunnies, he's going to be in everything and doing really well. And they're going down his side a lot more than Munster's, actually. Munster didn't even get any attacking stats apart from 1 line break assist when he kind of had to, he had the ball himself and ran sideways and put someone through, put Harry Grant through, actually. So, yeah, it's good to see. Well, we'll jump straight into Munster there. It's good to see him still scoring well, and a lot of people are stressed about wanting to trade him, and he hardly did anything in this game. Imagine he kicked a few extra goals too. He gets like 70, but 58 average over the season. You at least are holding him until round 13, and then you can make a decision on him then. But yeah, if I owned him, I'd be very, very happy with his output. He's made 50k from his starting price, and he was already a gun. So happy days there. Brenda Smith. I know the Talking League boys were chatting him up a little bit. As someone that, especially TK, someone that was a decent option there, and he delivered with a 70 and a try in his 55 minutes. So played the 55 straight, a little bit of hooker, and then a bunch through the middle, and that's where he got his try there. But 4 turnover tackles for Smithy with a couple of steals and a couple of tackles there. So not something you're going to get every week, and the 5 tackle breaks and the try, but just did everything pretty well perfect, and it had the 2 missed tackles and a penalty. So well done to Smithy. If you picked him up, awesome. If you're still holding him, even better. But a 50 average over the year, you can't really complain, especially when he's at 593k. So good stuff for him. Nico Hines was in everything again, and 4 offloads, 6 tackle breaks, 2 try assists, line break and stuff in there. He was awesome at 337k. The question's going to be, how many more games can you get out of him? Obviously, Pap should be back next week. Hines should move back to the bench. He'll play round 13 at fullback. You'd imagine that Pap's going to be in the 14 jersey for the Blues there, and that's really helpful. But it's like, well, is he going to help you other than that, or is he going to make a tiny bit of cash over this next 50, 100k over the next bunch of weeks? Move back to the interchange, lose that money again. So he's kind of you're bringing him in for that score last night, or 13, and that's about it. So great player, but needs an injury to one of the halves or Pap there to be really, really beneficial. And I'd be keeping an eye on that if that happens in the next few weeks. then he'd be a good option. Olam with 52 in his 80 minutes. You'll notice a lot of Storm players in his first sort of 10 to 15 players. Olam with 52, done really well, just playing good footy. It's really cool to see him and Adokar there absolutely dominating and getting really excited when they're winning and helping their team score a lot of tries. So good work for him. He's averaging 42 for the season. That's a keeper level in the centres, so keep it up. Cookie with 50, almost looked like he got injured pretty early on too, and any owners would have been losing their mind. But a 50 in that kind of team when they got absolutely hammered is to make 49 tackles still and miss 3. Yeah, you take that in the grand scheme of things. It could have been a lot worse for someone like Cook. And on Grant's side of things, he was named to start and then got moved back to the bench and still played 60 minutes. But it'd be interesting to see how long it takes for him to end up getting an 80-minute role. And I think this is really good for those that don't own him. Obviously, there's a few that brought him in this week. If you don't own him, his price should be able to come down that little bit more. We can get him, he's already around that 49 average, so you can probably get him another 30 or 40k cheaper unless he gets a couple of big games. And he'd be an interesting target come around 14, for example. I would suggest if you're looking for him. And then from 14 onwards, he should only miss 1 game, given the fact that he's already missed a fair bit of time and he's not playing 80 minutes every week. So I doubt that Bellamy would need to rest him too much, unless he's having ridiculously huge Origin games, which he probably will, to be fair, against our New South Wales boys, unfortunately. Georgie Jennings with 2 tries, and he's looking pretty strong, and he's doing a good job for the Storm, and that's what happens to every winger and whatever that goes to the Storm, of course. So well done to him. Totola with 41, Arrow with 40, so he's a little bit disappointing, but again, in a team that's getting dominated, for him to get 64 run meters is pretty standard, I would have thought, and 35 tackles there. So yeah, is what it is. I wouldn't be trading him in. And same with Koloamatangi, who's someone that I've been talking about that should be getting back to his normal scores after 2 really, really big 60s. So yeah, something to think about there. We'll talk about in a sec. But Christian Welch with 39 and got about 10 less minutes to what he's normally been getting. But to have 184 run meters, three offloads and a tackle break in that 45, you'll take that for sure. And only 22 tackles in a shorter stint, which and when they're dominating, I suppose there's not too much else you can expect from the forwards. Like, is there any forwards in this other than Smithy in a dominant side? No, it's all outside backs for Storm that are scoring well. So you can't really complain with what Welch got. You'd obviously like it maybe to be 30-0 and he can get a bunch more tackles and stuff, but is what it is. Didn't have to play as many minutes either. So hopefully a big minute game next week and we can get back to a 50 score with him. For us owners, from so far, Koloamatangi. So 34, he's back to what he was scoring before these last 2 weeks where he absolutely dominated. So I think this is much more his normal. Obviously, they did get hammered. So if the Souths are winning a little bit more, you'd expect some more attacking stats from him. But as I said in previous videos, is the fact that these kind of guys, 400, 500k mark, if they have a low score, it then just really just puts a massive dent in their price rises, unfortunately. So keep an eye on Koloamatangi and what's happening there, and hopefully they play a lot better when Reynolds comes back and stuff, and he can go back to scoring well. If you brought him in this week, I feel for you, but try not to stress in the long run. I just think he's going to be up and down with his 30 to 60 kind of plays there. Remus Smith, for anyone who's still holding him, I think there was a few that actually picked him up this week. So a 29, which is pretty sad when they get 50 points. He did get 3 tries last week, so I suppose you can't do it every week. But 100 meters, 10 tackles, and 3 tackle breaks for your 29 there. Well done to him. But yeah, if that's your base, then you're pretty happy with that. And he's averaging 36 for the year, and he'll go up in price again this week. He covers that wing, fullback, and center, plays around 13. I can see why people are interested in having him if he's got that really high upside that he's had the last couple of weeks. All right, Chewy. Kamiko was a little bit of a sad one for anyone that's owning him because he's done really well. Made 171k, but only got the one stint, 28 in his 31 minutes. So if he's playing 50, you're getting close to a 50 output in terms of his points. So yeah, annoying that he didn't get back on the park, but with Finucane playing a few extra minutes, that was I suppose that makes sense. Where is Dale? Yeah, 53 for him this week, so a lot higher, which is cool. But that someone's gonna lose out, and this week it wasn't Brayden Smith. He played a fair bit through the middle for 55. Welch played a little bit less. Asafa and Bromwich were pretty low as well, so a lot of those minutes went to Finucane and not to Chewy or the other guys there. So something to think about there. Brayden Burns at 28 in his return, but Is he an option at 378? I don't think so. He's at that awkward price for me. Hawkins came in and played a game, did okay. Liam Knight, Cody Walker with 26. So yeah, not the game for him to be scoring well, especially at fullback. Gags with 17. He's been awesome. Still averaging 44 with a 17. So you're really happy with his output, and hopefully when things get back to normal for the Bunnies or against an easier side, then he'll be fine. So I wouldn't be worried about him. And if you're looking at guys like Masters, then you got burnt pretty hard with the 7, obviously going off after 37 minutes. So again, he wouldn't have scored well anyway. So there you go, guys. That's the wrap for the Thursday night one. As I said, with the people squad, I may have to make a trade if Walshy gets moved to the bench or anything like that. But I'm sure, well, hopefully we can find that news out fairly soon. So they play on Sunday, correct? Yeah, Sunday at 2. So hopefully we know in that first update if CHT is still in that, in the final 19. Then that would be ideal, and we'll be able to know that by 2 o'clock. So if you guys don't know how that works, is teams will announce, will drop 2 off their if they're off their extended bench. So you start with 21 is named, go down to 19 24 hours before kickoff. So that's something to have a look at around about when the Raiders and the Knights teams gets announced at 2 o'clock on Saturday tomorrow. Is when the updated squads will be for the Warriors. So you might, unless we find anything out before that, it will be helpful to know that one there. And if that's the case and he's on the bench, then maybe I could trade Fui up to Barnett or Clemmer or something like that. So yeah, something to think about that you guys can do in your squads as well. So yes, as I said, hope you enjoyed this, guys. Please hit like, subscribe. I really appreciate all the love and support. We'll catch you in tomorrow's video when we talk about the 2 Friday night games. Hope you enjoyed today. See you guys.